I think we're good. Okay, you got something going on? All right. Thank you. Oh, I need the books. That's kind of a necessity. Hey, secure channel. Ooh. All right. Comic reviews for the week of 119. Take off my mask so the deaf community can read my lips because I can't sign fast enough. Let's get this going. Any pop culture news?
WandaVision came out on Friday.
WandaVision came out. I'm thoroughly convinced Mephisto is in play. We could have a whole episode discussing everything that happened.
Episode 3.
Yeah, we should.
What news is that?
Yeah.
Why is the Punisher problematic? Because if we cancel everything because people misinterpret stuff, then we'll have no pop culture left. I'm sorry. And frankly, the Punisher is one of my favorite characters, so I'm totally against that.
Helen versus Spawn comes out in March.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like I'm sure there are some crappy people that also like My Little Pony as well. You know, like you'll find awful people in that like everything. That doesn't mean we should cancel everything. Exited host mode. I wonder why I exited host mode. That's weird. Twitch is behaving weird. What else?
I don't know. Do we want to drop the Venom Johnny Case news now, or?
Oh, the Venom's coming to an end. Yeah, Venom is coming to an end at issue
200 and
200 what?
35, the Legacy 200.
35 Legacy 200. Yeah, I mean, he should have gone at least 50. Should at least go to the Immortal Hulk limit, but yeah, I don't know. That's sad. That's sad because he's done so much for Venom, but at the same time, like, I don't want him to run out of ideas.
It makes you wonder if something else is coming.
Maybe. That's just sad though. But he's got Thor right now, so and God is Thor good. So as long as we got Donny Cates doing something, I'm happy. What else? Yeah, I don't know. Let's just jump into comics. First book we're gonna review is there's a lot of people on this East. Oh, okay. Johnson, Clunan, Conrad, Adams, Easton, Janin, Mokanov, Delandro, Belair, Luis, and High Five. We're talking about Superman, Worlds of War. I really like this issue for, a lot of reasons. The first story, it centers around, Superman is missing from the world, and people have sort of built religions around him. And a Superman fan who actually was somebody tied to his past who was saved by him, she says, like, all these people have forgotten him and forgotten his message and forgotten hope. And it's kind of a beautiful story. And meanwhile, where is Superman? Well, he's on Warworld. I think we all kind of saw it coming. We at least thought it was going to be Apocalypse, but I mean, World's at war. We all sort of guessed it was going to be Warworld. So that there's that. The next story it centers around Mr. Miracle, and it's the other Mr. Miracle, not Scott Free, but God, I always forget this dude's name. Help me out here, Nate. Do you remember this Mr. Miracle's name before I look it up?
I got no idea.
Oh God, it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, do you know the other Mr. Miracle?
I don't.
I can't remember his name. But the art in that story is amazing, and I think it's the second one. We had another one in the Superman something of Metropolis. We had that same Mr. Miracle with the same artist. So I am in love with that artist style, and I'm not sure who it is, but good showing, and the story was fun too. Both those two stories were great. The last story actually you get 4 stories in this. One of them centers around the Midnighter, and every time I've seen him in recent years, he's been relatively tame. But he's pretty violent, at least in this issue. And I seem to remember him being pretty violent in the past, too. So that was good, too. And the last story was, it was weird, centered around Apocalypse, and I didn't really have too much invested in that character. So it was okay. But you get 4 stories, and 2 of them are just absurdly cool. So you really can't go wrong with that book. So pick it up. Next is Ridley. Oh, I forgot Ridley was doing this. Ridley, Ayala, Siebenbergen, Braga, and Eneki, Lupacino, Von Graubadger, Prianto, Mulville, and Khalees. God, I hope I got all your names right. And that is the next Batman. And oh God, is this great? The first story centers around Jace. Well, Jace Fox, which he's calling himself that now. He's actually Tim Fox, taking over as Batman, and he's trying to get to the bottom of a murder. And they've put a real sort of a crisis of morality in this story. Something that it's pretty rare that I've seen like morality issues in regular Batman runs that run this deep. Like, I'm not sure what I would do in this situation. And I definitely wouldn't be able to be Bruce Wayne's Batman, and I don't know what Jace is planning on doing in this situation, but it's super interesting, and I can't talk about it without spoiling it. But let's just say it's a real crisis of morality that happens in this issue, and you need to check it out. The next story in this centers around Orphan and Spoiler, and it turns out Spoiler is a traitor. Orphan's none too happy about that. They've all been captured by the Magistrate, which combines good guys and bad guys, and they divide into their separate groups, calling themselves White Hats and Black Hats, which is a hacker reference, which is even more funny with Spoiler in the center of all this. But that story, too, was super good and interesting. And then the last story was the Sirens story. I'm not too invested in the Sirens, but if you like the Sirens, you will definitely like that story. Let me just tell you that, again, 2 really, really good stories. Last one's all right, but you're getting an amazing issue if you pick this up. So the next Batman, don't skip it. And we've got plenty of variants, and our variants are awesome. They show Jace Fox on the cover, and I picked up a copy for myself. I would say don't skip it. Next is Clunan, Conrad, McKinney, Bartel, Martinez, Morales, and Lopez. And we're talking about, wow, this issue of Wonder Woman cover. Jen Bartel is one of my favorite artists, so whenever she does something, like I can just pick out her style in a dark room filled with fog. I can spot it wherever it is. I love her style. The first story is very much in Jen Bartel's style. It's telling the story of, how does Wonder Woman and Superman pick up the pieces when Batman's gone? And what do? Well, they have one last big fight with someone who is. Yeah. So that's what happens in that. I'm not going to spoil anything beyond that, but I had a really good time, and there were a couple of surprise appearances in it. But what really intrigued me was the next story, which was it was Nubia, and Nubia was fighting what's her name? It's going to drive me nuts. Oh God, what's Grail? That's who it was. Sorry, it took me a second. So Nubia was fighting Grail, and the art in that one, I don't want to say that Bartel did both the stories. I thought she was only doing the covers, but the art and some of those panels did look like Bartel's art. And the way the Nubia story, there was so much action in that story, and the way it ended was just like, I honestly laughed out loud with how the ending came to be, and I wanted to know more. So I will tell you that the art in the Wonder Woman, the first story that centers around Diana, the art was great, like really, really amazing. The second story, I was way more intrigued by the Nubia story. So again, don't skip this whatsoever. You're getting a really, really good comic with two amazing stories in this. So this is almost perfect. Yogi, next is issue 4 of Rorschach. This is King, Fornes, and Stewart. Anyway, so what are you getting with this issue? Well, one, you're getting a Tom King story that is actually quite intriguing. It's centered around Rorschach's new teammate, where we're not entirely sure who she is. They're mostly just calling her the Kid. She's a gunslinger of sorts. We're going to get an explanation as to why she was running around with Rorschach in this issue. But the answer actually just opens up more of a mystery as to exactly what happened. It's super intriguing and kind of fun. More importantly, the Rorschach in this story is wow, as bloody and brutal and almost borderline comical with the things they do and the actions they take. I honestly did feel like I was reading a continuation of Watchmen, which good showing. You know, it shows that King really has sort of nailed the character. But I want to know where everything is going, and God, what a cool little mystery King has built here. So again, Rorschach issue number 4. I'd say don't skip it. I remember saying the last issue felt like filler, but now that I've gotten this particular story, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it doesn't feel like filler. It honestly, I'm glad they gave us that last issue, and now that I know sort of some of what's going on, I'm way more into that character. So yeah, good job, King. Next is another King book. We're doing Tom King, Clayman, and Tomoe Mori, Batman and Catwoman. Now, we were all secretly hoping that this was just going to be like the continuation of Tom King's Batman, and it sort of is, but it also isn't, because they're doing, I can't say flashbacks, but flash forwards to the future where Batman is actually dead and Catwoman is confronting Joker. And we're sort of, yeah, that's what the first book did. On top of like telling a mystery centering around Batman in the past. And they're still flashing back. And you're not entirely certain why these two situations are related, but you know they are. And more importantly, you know, does Selina like pull the claws back in the future after you know Bruce Wayne's gone? Has he made enough of an impression on her that she's gonna pull back? Or does she just go with what her, you know, normal nature is? Like what happens there? So you're gonna get an answer to that in this issue, and it's good storytelling. I didn't really like the first issue very much, but I honestly love the second issue. So again, don't skip it. I honestly, if you're a Tom King fan like I am, you'll probably really love it. But I don't know. I know he's a controversial figure in the comics community, but I love his work. Next is Taylor Harrison, Baldacini, Derenick, and Burrito. God, I hope you got your names right, guys. We're talking about DC's Dead Planet. Really, we should just be talking about this as the Deceased Part 2 or the finale of Deceased, because we got all that other stuff in the middle. What were the other books? Unkillables. What else?
A Good Day to Die.
A Good Day to Die. They were all okay. They just weren't as great as the first one. But really, this is the finale. This is the end of the DC stuff, and it just feels like a continuation from Part 1. So we're getting an answer. Last couple of issues, we saw Constantine gathering up all these artifacts for magic and trying to use them to, counter the world's problems. But more importantly, Trigon was set to invade. So he was using them to beat Trigon. I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm telling you guys, you just gotta have like some kind of webcam show, and people will just come in and try to like get in the shot just to do it, but never buy anything. And then talk loud. Oh yeah. Most people would be quiet when you're filming something. No, you just want to talk loud just to be on camera. It's just a YouTube show for comics. Anyways, but. Let's see. In this issue, we're also going to get an answer to the deceased infection. We know that there was a cure in Cyborg's head, which is weird because the infection started in Cyborg's head. But there was a cure, and they were going to distribute it, and how they distribute it, and how it happens. Like, it all gets wrapped up in a nice little bow. It was awesome. It was a really, really, really good ending. Did you read this yet? It's such a good ending. The one scene where I don't want to say, but when one of the heroes falls and another one rises up to throw punches, just who that hero was and exactly how it played out felt so good. It was great. What a good ending. I thought it ended at the last issue. I think I told somebody it ended at the last issue and I couldn't remember, but I'm glad I was wrong and they went 7. It was an awesome, awesome ending. Next is Constant, Scott, and Placencia. We're talking about Future State Nightwing. There is so much good in this. I'm not even sure where to begin. Really, if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say that this is Nightwing coming to terms with the fact that there is another person running around in his father's moniker and outfit. So that's what you're going to get in this issue. What else do you get? Well, you get a really awesome Nightwing story centering around, well, him dealing with the issues that have cropped up since his father's, reported death. And how he handles certain things. He's a lot more gritty and a lot more bitter now that Bruce is gone. And I guess it kind of makes sense. It's just weird to see Grayson in this form. He does get serious from time to time. I could think that after the traumatic brain injury, he definitely was way more serious. But it's just a weird way to see him. It doesn't mean I hate it. I actually loved it. It was a really, really good story. And again, if you're a Nightwing fan, I think you'll love it. If you're a Batman fan, you'll absolutely love it. Any of the Bat Family stuff right now is pretty damn good. Next is Catwoman, Future State. But V and Schmidt, let's talk about this. Because look, the back of this came ripped, and they put the staples in the back of the book. I don't know what was going on at the printers that day. Were they drunk? But one issue is definitely messed up, so that's my review copy right here. What do you get in this? Well, you get a Catwoman Future State story, which is actually pretty awesome. Centers around a train heist, which, all the best heists do happen on trains. It's just weird that there's a train in the future. But on top, and even funnier, like there's a Snowpiercer ad in the very first page. But what else do you get in this? Well, you get reference to the Strays, which is a Catwoman thing. You remember a few issues back, she took on a few strays of Gotham. Yeah. Now they have their own symbol, and I gotta tell you, it feels very Mockingjay type of feeling. Oh. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they flash that symbol like they're throwing gang signs or something. But I liked it. I had a good time with the story. And if you're a Catwoman fan or you've been reading the Catwoman stuff that was tied to King's Run last year, you'll probably really enjoy this. It was a good show. The art, I got to tell you, the art was actually top notch for this issue. I was kind of blown away. I don't know, Schmidt, I guess it is. I don't know who did the art in the book, but it was good showing. Next is Legion of Superheroes. Will Superboy's past destroy their future? And yeah, really, this is not. There is some Superboy in this, but a lot of this centers around Saturn Girl, who is actually the only other character other than I think the Gold Lantern that I can really remember who they are on that team. So I guess Brainiac. I can remember the other Brainiac, but I get everyone else mixed up. There's so many of them. Is this actually pretty good? Yeah, it was a good Legion of Superheroes story. And I know that I tend to talk about these and say that a lot of times there's just too many moving parts and I'm not quite certain what's going on. But this one actually intrigued me and I had a good time with it. So good showing. The art is the same Legion of Superheroes fare that you've come to know. There's nothing else that's really, truly different here. But we do get a little bit of an answer on, not really an answer, but a little more clarification about the Gold Lantern and sort of the mystery surrounding him. Can I just say that I actually like his mask? I shouldn't say like. I dislike his mask almost as much as I dislike Kyle Rayner's mask. I was trying to frame this in a positive way, but I really can't. The Gold Lantern mask is just like they stuck something on his face and you can't see his eyes. Like, I hate it. But whatever. It is what it is. So this Legion of Superheroes stuff it's actually getting much better. I'm having a better time with it than I was before. So I would say don't skip this issue in particular. It was kind of fun. Next is Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon. This is Hama, Wachter, and Manon. And we need to just... It's so hard for me. Like, I love Iron Fist aesthetic. I've always loved the way he looks as a character. I don't know why. It's such a cool look. And I've always liked a lot of the art tied to Iron Fist. Well, we were talking about it the other day, and that TV show has left such a sour taste in my mouth that whenever I pick up an Iron Fist book, I'm like,
not what I thought it was going to be.
It's so weird that has left such a bad taste in my mouth. But what do you get in this? Well, you get a really good Danny Rand story that was actually great. I had a good time with it. There were a couple twists and turns. It centers around, well, you all know he comes from the kingdoms of heaven, and they're sort of connecting them now and opening them up to the other kingdoms. So he's going to explore one of them and encounter a villain who is stealing hearts of dragons, which doesn't doesn't fly too well with Iron Fist. Meanwhile, Uncle Luke is guarding Pan. So his what is she? Is she his adopted? I can't remember. Adopted daughter, adopted niece. I can't remember how it works out. Guarding her, and Luke Cage is being Luke Cage. Power. We do get a nice Power Man fight in it, and it felt really good when it happened too. So I was pretty blown away by that. So a lot of action in this issue. Not bored. The art was amazing. There's really nothing to complain about here. I'd say if you're a Luke Cage fan, like I am, you should probably pick this up. If you're an Iron Fist fan and you can get the nasty taste of that TV show out of your mouth, definitely come pick this up. It's great. Next is, this is Saladin Ahmed, Sam Kivela, and Mattia Iacono. And we're talking about Abbott 1973 by Boom Studios. Did you read the original Abbott? Anyone?
I didn't even know
There was an original story, apparently, and they sort of flash forward, or not flash forward, flash back. It centers around Detroit in 1973. The first one started in 1972, and it was involving grisly murders and stuff. And it turns out that somebody was tapped into some magical umbra and like sacrificing or cursing people or something. So yeah, it's a good excuse for a story. What you do get in this is you get really awesome art that at times reminded me of Dennis Cowan's style, and which is a good thing, because as I was reading it, it felt like I was reading God, how did the name leave me? The one that centered around race in the South that has Dennis Cowan on it.
Bitterroot.
Bitterroot. Yeah. God, brain damage. I forget names that I should easily remember. It felt like I was reading Bitterroot, but like in the 1970s, because they do have issues of race in this book as well, and the character tackles it pretty well. I wanted to know more about the character. I'm not entirely sure on her power set yet. I just know she has glowing fists and can fight with that. But she's trying to navigate both the real world horrors and the supernatural horrors of Detroit in the 1970s, which is pretty fun. It's a good premise. So I was intrigued and I want to know more. So I'm probably going to pick up Abbott 2 as well, issue number 2 for 1973. So good showing, guys. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Jennika 2. So this is issue number 3. This is centering around the 5th Ninja Turtle, the newer one, and she's been trying to figure out who has been drugging the mutanimals of New York, which they're starting to call Zoo York. Which is kind of funny. But yeah. So we get that, and it's a good Jennika story, but we do get a new mutant that's part mutanimal, that's part scorpion, which is cool. It had a very sort of scorpion. It felt about as it should. I had a good time with it. It's not as good as the other Ninja Turtles title that's out, the other 2 Ninja Turtle titles that are out this week, but Jennika was pretty good. I wouldn't rate it as the best. So if you want to buy some TMNT stuff, that one's probably the weakest of all the TMNT stuff this week. Next is number 1. Well, I think it's a one-shot, but they're going to do all 4 of the Turtles. But this is TMNT Leonardo. And you're getting 3 stories in here that are really, really pivotal. The first story is one from my childhood. I shouldn't say childhood, junior high school hood, which centers around Leo fighting the Foot Clan and Shredder coming back from the dead, while the rest of the Turtles are sort of getting ready for Christmas. It's a really, really pivotal story from way back when, and super interesting. And it's nice to see it in color. Hi, Wheeler. It was really, really cool to see it in color. So really good showing. That one. The second one centers around when Splinter gets kidnapped and him sort of fighting people who had kidnapped him away and trying to get him back. I didn't actually read that one at the time, but the next story I did read, which centered around a one-shot where Leo sort of meditates and goes into another plane of consciousness and finds some of his enemies there and comes to peace with a lot of them and himself and the Hamato clan. So you're getting 3 really, really good Leo stories that, again, it's nice to see them colorized. It's nice to see them set up in this one shot, and you're getting like a trade paperback's worth of book for only $5.99. Honestly, this is a steal. So do not skip on this, especially if you're a TMNT fan. Next is Parrot, Moritorino, and Angelo. And we're talking about Power Rangers. But what's up with this Power Rangers? Cam, tell us about this. Who's in this?
Power Rangers is the Omega Rangers. The Omega Rangers are the original yellow, red,
Red
and
and
black
black.
Rangers. So it's Jason, Trini, and Zach.
Yeah.
They kept it a secret from Zordon after they left the original team.
Yep.
That they were chosen to become the Omega Rangers. But in this series, they are dealing with a now less powerful Draken.
Draken.
Oh,
Yeah.
back again.
So Draken is back, and yeah, it's nice to see the A team dealing with him. So I had a really awesome time, and I'm saying this as somebody who skips Power Ranger comics. Like I maybe read one in every like 5 or 10, and I picked this up. Cam was like, "You gonna read this?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I tried to speed read it, but I found myself like slowing down to really enjoy it. The art is absurdly cool. The art's really good. The storyline's really good. I think it would hook you. If you jumped in on issue 3, I don't think you'd be too terribly confused. So again, don't skip this Power Rangers run. It's amazing. Open World Gamer. I sound like a broken record telling people not to skip, but there's so many good books this week. There's just so much good. Next is Remender, Boshi, and Denisio. And if you can't tell from the laugh from picking this up, this is Scumbag. Scumbag, the premise of Scumbag is what happens if a secret formula that makes a super agent gets mixed up with the heroin needle of a scumbag, and what happens if the whole world's fate depends on this scumbag fighting the evil terrorist organization, and how would he do it? And he really is just the worst person in the world with some of the best stupid monologues I've ever seen. Like this one in particular, he's tasked to going and tracking down Scorpionus organization, the terrorist organization. He's gonna track them down, but meanwhile he's got to crash a rich folk party, and he thinks they're all stuck up and stuffy and stuff like that. And he goes in there, and he finds a full-blown orgy. So the scumbag has lost his mind, because I'm not kidding you. The things he wished for an AI sentient sex doll, a flying Trans Am, and like beer on the head, like one of those helmets, but filled with cocaine. So he gets all of that at the beginning of this issue. So it's such a flawed and messed up and twisted character that says the absolute worst things, and yet you're just hooked from the very beginning to the very end. It's so funny. There couldn't be a more flawed character, and somehow it makes it really entertaining. Again, having the best time with the dumbest, which should be the dumbest book. But the art is really, really good. The storylines, it's good. It's great. I've fallen in love with a character that I feel like you shouldn't touch normally. Next is Eastman, Campbell, and Pattinson, and we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you can't tell from the cover, that's Lita, the littlest mutanimal that is an albino baby turtle. She's all grown up, and she's gone back in time to like help her family. And more importantly, you get a callback to a character that I have not seen since maybe 1992, I think, which is in the original Ninja Turtles series, and it's the Timestress. I can't remember her name exactly, but she's got crazy clocks on her face, and she's just a really sort of pivotal character. I don't know if you guys can all see that right there. Wow, what a callback. What an insane callback. But again, the people that are writing it right now really know their material. And so it centers around Lita going back in time and trying to, save both the new New York that's filled with mutanimals and her family and a rival clan too. So it's a really, really good, touching story that, again, if you're a TMNT fan, you'll love this. And there's plenty of like nostalgia built into it with some new stuff, so don't skip it. Honestly, that I think was, other than the Leo book, they're kind of neck and neck, but those two were the strongest of the TMNT titles this week. Next is a book that is just weird all around. Kint, Lesniewski, and Crabtree. This is Crimson Flower. Really, this is a revenge story Told it's basically a little girl witnesses her dad getting killed and needs to find the hitman and enact revenge on it. But I gotta tell you, as far as like there's weird surreal art in this world, and then there's like this, which is wildly surreal. It has really good fight scenes, but like there are times where it's so weird. I can't quite put my finger on it. It feels like Eastern European propaganda at times. It's the weirdest art style, and that's not to say it's bad. It's definitely different. Maybe it felt like a more surreal kind of Little Bird sort of style.
Like every adult you're looking at is like standing up tall and always
Yeah,
kind of stoic.
it's just weird.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really
it
strange.
reminds me of Crack Magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has some kind of feel like that. But it's not to say I had a bad time with it. I was super intrigued. Granted, the storyline, there's not really a lot of depth to it. It's a revenge story. But the way things happen and the links the character will go to get revenge is kind of interesting. The art was so weird that it was intriguing, and I wanted to know where they were going with this. So I'm intrigued. I will say that if pick it up and thumb through it before you commit to it, because it's a strange purchase, this one. Next is Peter David, Javier Pina, and he's Jesus Albertov, and we're talking about War and Pax Maestro. Really, we're talking about Maestro Part 2. This is a continuation of the one that ended with him basically summoning robot dogs and killing what's left of mankind. It was a very sour and sudden ending. Well, now we know why they were setting the stage for this, and this is going to be, well, one hell of a battle. There are a couple people he winds up fighting in this, and I can't talk too much without spoiling it, but the end page was really quite shocking, but I guess it shouldn't have been shocking. You should always expect this villain to appear on all timelines. That's all I'm gonna say. Here, I'll show it to you. Ready? Don't say it.
Don't.
Anyways, so it was a good showing. I honestly I liked this more than the other Maestro book the origin of it that we ran recently. So I'd say don't skip this one if you were remotely into that alternate timeline Hulk, or you just need a little something to get you through to the next issue of Immortal Hulk. Maybe pick this up. You also have Magic the Gathering cards and Pokemon. We do have Magic the Gathering cards. We do not have Pokemon cards. Nobody will have Pokemon cards right now. There is a manufacturing shortage in China. So they've gone through the roof. Everyone is trying to buy them, and for good reason, because no one can get them. So that's been our main complaint these last couple of weeks is constant calls about Pokemon cards. Next is Wong Yung, Elizaba, and Rosenberg. And this is Star Wars Dr. Aphra. Really, this is still, again, a pretty good Dr. Aphra story. The art's good. The storyline, it's okay. They go to Corellia and encounter Lady Proxima, which I believe is a callback to Solo. Yes. So it was kind of cool. You get to see a couple characters you've already seen before. So, yeah, she's just sort of all over the timeline at times, it feels like. But I will say that this Dr. Aphra stuff, it's great. It's just not as good as the last Dr. Aphra run, which I think was the gold standard for comics, for Star Wars comics. So, yeah, I wish they'd return to that sort of roots. Yeah. So, but, I'm going to tell you, it's still a good Star Wars comic. You will not be disappointed with this issue. And if you're a Solo fan, you absolutely should snatch that up. Next is Corey Bechko, Aragon, and Segala, and we're talking about the Expanse. Now, again, this centers around, well, I guess former Senator Avasarala. I can't remember her actual title. But this is another side story from the Expanse. I don't think it's tied to the current season. The current season I was just watching last night, and oh god, there's so much good. I don't know how they do it, but like there's not a lukewarm season in the Expanse. Like it just gets better and better and better. So yeah, I'd say if you're an Expanse fan, you're not going to be disappointed by this issue. It's good. It's really good. The art's pretty good, actually. I honestly think the art is better in this issue than it was in the last issue, which is weird. But I think it's the same artist. It just feels a little bit different. So don't skip it. If you're an Expanse fan, you will absolutely have a good time. I need to stop saying don't skip it. I've said it so much this week. Sorry.
I can put that on the shirt.
Next is McKay, Via, and Reber, and we're talking about Black Cat, King in Black. Now, we can finally talk about that first issue of King in Black, which, oh God, give me a second. Black Cat had a busy year. The way McKay wrote her has been amazing. But Black Cat had a really, really busy year, and I only have 5% of power left to my phone, so I might lose Twitch in a second. I don't think there's a way to plug it in, dude. But let's discuss this. So she stole from Doctor Strange twice, and then at the end of King in Black, it's not going to reach. So you can prop it up. Can you? Yeah, it's not going to reach. I don't know what to do here. Hang on. Let's see here. Bloop. Give me something to put behind it right here. No, this is going to pull it. Hold up. Maybe we can get it mounted. Oh, here we go. I don't think it's going to stay there. Sorry, Twitch. Give me 1 second. Twitch is going to get a weird angle chat. Sorry, Twitch. You're going to get a weird angle. That's just how we had it. We got to do it. Okay. So, Black Cat has had a weird year. She's stolen from Doctor Strange twice. A few other people that are just almost impossible to steal from.
Iron Man.
The Fantastic Four. Yeah. So at the beginning of King in Black, Null takes control of a lot of heroes. Rather, captures a lot of heroes. And one of them is Doctor Strange. And Black Cat found herself going, that son of a bitch. Like, you don't steal from my favorite client. Like, she was very, very, very livid at the fact that Null kidnapped Doctor Strange and took control. So she's going to get him back. She's going to pull the ultimate and steal from a god and the King of Black, the King in Black, and go and take from Null and get Doctor Strange back. And that's what you get with this issue. What do you get with it? Well, you get some of the best action I've read all month. You get to see her in, well, a certain type of symbiote suit, which if you know what I'm hinting at, you probably expected it. And you'll get to see her in another form too by the end of the issue. There's a lot of good, probably the best action I've read in a long time. And I'm just going to call it right now. Even with King in Black, this was my pick of the week.
What?
Yeah, Black Cat was my pick of the week. I'm gonna say it. It was an outstanding read. I had so much fun with it. So yeah. Dude, do you want to see Black Cat using the spider buggy with a bunch of people? Well, pick up this issue. You get that in this issue. I laughed out loud probably 3 or 4 times. It was so good. Next is a book that came close to being my pick of the week, and we're all going to laugh at whatever happened at the print shop for this book. But we're talking about Aaron, Garen, and Curiel. Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Enter the Phoenix Part 2. But look at this book. This book, they cut this side off. It even cuts through the barcode. Can you guys see this? Look at this ridiculousness. They severed this book. Like, this book is 25% off. So this issue is not going to hit the floor. It's clearly messed up. What do you get in the story? Well, you get a little more information on the Phoenix being here. The Phoenix has sequestered a bunch of Marvel heroes and is having them fight it out to see who is worthy of wielding the Phoenix. And of course, Namor's in the middle. And you know, when he's in there, he's like, of course I'm worthy. Of course. Who else is more worthy than Namor? But who the Phoenix actually wants sort of comes to pass in this issue. The Phoenix actually does want a particular hero, but that hero doesn't want the Phoenix, and you could probably guess who it is. Come on. You know who it is. He's one of your favorites. He's on the cover, man.
I mean, in this direction.
No. I mean, come on. You always knew. Like, yeah. So at any rate, you're gonna see a fight between the Phoenix and you're gonna see a fight between a lot of Phoenix powered up heroes, and it's great. But perhaps the best fight in this that was the funniest was Hyperion being in the middle of this and realizing that, oh no, if I have this much cosmic knowledge, it's going to change me as a person. You can't do that. It's a very, very, very comical issue. I again laughed a few times. I had a really good time. Plenty of action. Keep in mind, me saying Black Cat is my pick of the week is no slight to the Avengers, which has been some top tier stuff lately. And this issue in particular is just ridiculously cool. So don't skip it. Did you get to the last page?
Yeah, I got the
Yeah,
last
I told
page.
it's a good issue, right?
Buy it.
Yeah, Black Cat is a really good issue.
We still have the aliens variant too.
And we do have the aliens variants. Next is Dimitri and Alberti, and we're talking about Cutting Edge, The Devil's Mirror. Now, I've not heard anything about this book, but this showed up. And this is Titan Press. It's issue number 1. It's $5.99, but it is a gigantic, thick book. And this centers around, well, it's a really, really good story. First of all, let's talk about the art. The art was amazing. Honestly, absurdly cool art. It actually reminded me of that Vampire the Masquerade title, Winter's Feast, which, by the way, they're doing a Winter's Feast mashup with the LA by Night characters. So they have like that on YouTube right now. So if you've been reading the comic, you should go and watch that because it's amazing. And my friend Xander Generate is in it. So yeah, not he's not in that mashup, but he is in LA by Night. But yeah, anyway, so the art is really good. I was not bored with the art. The story is quite a bit of it. It felt like I was reading a trade paperback, and I really wanted to sit down and reread it. It centers around people trying to find an artifact called the Devil's Mirror that supposedly, when you look into the mirror, you can see angels. Things are not quite as what they seem. But what you also get in this, you get a different bunch of crews competing to try and find the Devil's Mirror. And that takes them around the world in certain shenanigans. And it's a great movie. It's a good heist movie. It's got a lot of like twists and turns. Heist movie. That's what it felt like, a heist movie. A lot of twists and turns, a little bit of blood, a little bit of lust. It just scratches all the right itches. And I didn't expect this at all. I had no idea this was coming. We don't even know. Did we order this? Did you order this? Oh, okay. So Yogi ordered it. I had no idea it was coming, but good purchase. And if you feel like you want, a little bit of a heist story with some action and some blood and sex and a little bit of paranormal, that's your jam. God, what a weird.
That was a lot of work.
Yeah, it's just a weird combination of stuff, but somehow that story worked so well. So don't skip it.
No.
I said it again. Son of a gun.
Put it on a shirt, dude.
All right. Next is Percy, Kasara, and Guru Effects, and we're talking about X-Force. Well, let's talk about this cover. We've got Quentin. Quentin, yeah, okay. If you got to tackle some insane parasite that is attacking Krakoa that turns out to be in the bottom of the ocean, you send Quentin, right? Like, he's pretty OP. He's beyond Omega. Why not send him? Makes sense. Who else do you send on that trip? Well, no, you send Cyclops' dad. So Cyclops' dad goes, but then you also send Wolverine. Why would you send the dude with metal skeleton?
Because Wolverine.
I guess. I don't think you send him. And they even comment on it. At one point in this book, they're like, why are you swimming so fast to get down there? And he's like, dude, I can't help it. I'm like, I'm made of metal, dude. Like, so it was a really, really good story, and the ending was such a surprise, but I guess it shouldn't be. If you've been reading a lot of like the mutant comics, this particular mutant who happens to live in the bottom of the ocean does pop up quite a bit. And Cam sort of saw it coming. So if you know this, you probably know who it is. But the ending of this again was so great, and just a testament to his ego, because when he shows up, he's like, just get out of here. Let me fix this. Like it fits him so well. But yeah, again, really awesome issue. X-Force hasn't disappointed me at all this year, and again, no exception. Oh, was it not plugged in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my phone wasn't even charging this whole time. We barely made it. Welcome back, guys. So X-Force, the art's great, the story's really good, but if you've been reading all this X-Men stuff, you're probably tuned into the X-Force stuff. It's one of the better comics on the shelf right now. Okay. The deep sigh was the Zenoscope sigh because I'm sorry. I try to like Zenoscope books, but I just never do. This is Ralph Tedesco, Olivia Borges, and Fran Gamboa, and this is The Courier, Liberty and Death. So I know you've heard this before, but hey, world suffering from a crazy apocalypse where there are some vampire-esque zombies called primals that are roaming the world, and yeah, and people got to deal with it, and one of them is a courier, and that's what you get in this story. So is the story telegraphed? It's not a particularly deep story, but is the action good? Yes, actually, the action was really good. There's a wisecracking drone that likes to watch old movies. And, you've got kind of a cast of characters that are going to go out and try to secure something from the primals that have taken over, and things are going to go wrong. So I was interested in it, but the art was actually better than the normal Zenoscope fare, which at times feels pretty generic to me. This one didn't. I was not terribly bored with it. I had a good time. So I don't know. Maybe Zenoscope is stepping up their game. Maybe we should pay a little bit better attention. But The Courier, if you need one more book in your life this week and you really want to jump in on a Zenoscope title, I'd say this is your best shot. Like everything else that's out there, I'd say this is probably the one that might actually pique your interest. But if any other book, I'd say literally any other book on the show, we could probably pick that up. Next is a book that I want to know where they're going with this. This is by Aftershock, and this is Zach Thompson, Andy McDonald, and this book is called I Breathed the Body. And that is a very, very graphic cover. But there's so much good in this. The art is a bit gritty, which makes sense when you're telling a horror story like this. You want the art to be gritty. This centers around social media personalities and the statements they put in the world, and whether or not media sort of controls us or we control it. And people in this world have higher tech cell phones that function as like holographs and other stuff, and they're in a society that feels like us in a few years. So it's kind of cool. But where they're going with this is a very big statement that references both Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, and it references Harlan Ellison and one of his most famous stories, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And which that centers around a supercomputer called AM that sort of controls like the fates of like, I think 6 people, and is just killing them and bringing them back to life and killing them just to mess with them. So it's just technology in full control. And there's grander statements than that. I'm watering that down by quite a bit. But they don't even hide it. Like the last page absolutely just uses a bastardized version of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. So I was super intrigued. Like we're treading into science fiction like fandom that I absolutely love. And I want to know where they're going with this. So really, really graphic cover, not gonna lie. And the story is very shocking, violent, and a good enough horror comic, while also a statement on society itself and referencing good science fiction. This is a win all around. So my indie pick of the week is definitely this, for sure. So I Breathe the Body. I want to know where they're going with the story, and I think if you read it, you will be equally intrigued and want to know that too. The last book for this week. Okay, last book for this week. Cates, Stegman, Meyer, and Martin. King in Black. So we need to talk about everything that's happened. First of all, Eddie Brock, current Venom, is dead. Or is he? Well, yeah, he's dead. But he might actually be able to come back. We found out he's tied to a whole bunch of other an afterlife, if you will, of symbiote users where they're all sort of tied to the codex. And we got a glimpse of Agent Venom, Flash Thompson
Right.
tied in there too. So everyone's a bit excited because if Cates does open this door, if he finds a way to bring Eddie back, then he's got his own proverbial green door, like the Immortal Hulk, that can bring back pretty much like maybe all of the symbiote users at one point, right?
Right.
It could happen. So I'm excited about it. Meanwhile, Dylan's sort of coping with the fact that he just watched his dad die, a dad that he didn't even know was his dad until a couple months back. The whole world is coping with the fact that, well, they've lost quite a bit. Everyone is like, there are so many Omegas that went down.
Right.
So many like ridiculously powered up superheroes and metahumans that just lost in an instant. This is the who is it? Century. No, Century. My brain, Century. I'm going to mess up names all the time. Century got ripped in half in like a second. It was ridiculous. So yeah, there's a lot of bad that's happening right now, and we're gonna wind up seeing, well, two heroes fight in a very good way. I can't spoil who the other one was, but I am gonna say we have seen Iron Man with a sentient suit. So he's got the exosuit. What's it called? The exo. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. No. I can't remember, but he's got this suit that's bound with the symbiote, and we saw it. And he's gonna be trying to upgrade that into something else to fight another thing that Mel brought to law. So yeah, it's really, really awesome. So again, didn't make my pick of the week because I thought Black Cat just barely edged it out, but King in Black issue number 3 is still outstanding. Plus, we might be witnessing the death of another hero. Sad, but we definitely see somebody get. Yeah. So, at any rate, don't skip this at all. It's amazing, but we also finally get to see Dylan fight, which we've all kind of wanted to see this. So, yeah. Don't skip it. Don't skip it. King of Black 3. I said it 4 times just then, but I mean it. Don't skip King of Black. It's amazing. That's our show for this week. Anything else to add? I can't think of anything.
Come pick up your books.
Come pick up your books. Please don't ask us to order more books if you're not picking up your books. Please come pick up your books. And if you are a customer that pays every week, you don't have to pick up your books. We don't mind watching your books if you pay us every week online. I'm thinking of, who am I thinking of? It's always back there. Valencia always pays. Yeah, thank you, Marcos. Al always pays. Cam, you always pay. So thank you guys to everyone who helps keep the lights on during this time. And happy Inauguration Eve. I know that there's a lot of speeches and a lot of people are on edge because of all that mess that happened last week. But don't worry. We'll get through this together. And tomorrow's a better and brighter day. So take care, guys. Stay safe. Wear your mask, even though I'm not wearing it right now because I want people to read my lips. And there we go. We're good. Put my mask back.